Alright, guys, welcome back to this first episode of Completely Pointless, but the
Hear me.
second episode of just some random ass podcast. My name is Jeremy, and I have two very average men with me. What are y'all's names?
Average.
That's a weird name.
I'll show you average. I'm Nicholas.
Brandon.
Like I'm saying, this is now the first podcast of Completely Pointless, right? Did I say that right?
Officially the first episode of Completely Pointless Podcast.
Oh, this is the first episode? So
No,
the thing
not
we
at all.
did last.
I was
Oh.
saying last time it didn't have a name, if we're technically speaking. So,
Oh, true. Yeah, we've actually decided on a name. So this is.
yeah. So this
I
time
get you.
it's actually pointless.
Last week it was arguably pointless as a podcast.
Yes.
This week it's completely pointless
we
podcast.
Actually agreed that it's pointless now.
Yeah.
Well,
PP.
to bring it back to what we really were trying not to argue about earlier, just because I want to hear y'all's intake on it, is Amazon a good or terrible company?
Well, it was right because we were talking before the podcast. We were talking about that new MMO
New World. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said you got it right,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. And you played. How much have you played of it?
Man, I think like 15 hours or so, 15, 20 hours. I played
That's
a
a
good
decent
portion
amount.
of it, yeah. I mean, not for
How'd
an
you feel about
MMO,
it?
but I liked it, but I always have the same like opinions about, just MMOs in general. I always really want to like MMOs and I always really want to be able to play them, but then I just get bored of the monotony and like the grind of it. And that one, it's not much different. I mean, you just go out and chop trees for 20 hours so that your tree chopping skill gets up to 100%, and then you go and make some furniture.
So it's a pretty stereotypical MMO.
Yeah, it really doesn't do anything different, honestly.
Well, so when I played it, the best explanation I can have for that game is fancy RuneScape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That
really
makes
is,
sense.
yeah. Because you do
So
there are iron ore places, and you go and mine iron for 2 hours, and then there are just normal ass things, and it's, I don't know. It's a.
But we can all agree, right, that it's not a bad game. I haven't played it, but just going off of what you guys say, I don't assume it's bad.
Yeah, no,
No,
it's not a bad game.
Bad.
So that's kind of my thing with Amazon, right? Like fucking the delivery service and the game are not bad. I think the game is good, and probably the delivery service is one of the best that we have now. But I mean, everything is Amazon now, right?
Yeah.
So I have trouble. That's why I haven't played New World, is because I have trouble supporting something that is just that huge. Like Amazon is huge.
I mean,
And
yeah, but
I mean, the more support they get, the bigger they're gonna get. So it comes down to, like, yeah, they may make a good product, but do they make the best, and is it worth it? Kind of deal. Like, to allow a company to just have that much power.
Yeah. Well,
That is a good argument.
Let me phrase it to you this way, though. They're huge, but they also employ and pay thousands, if not millions, of people.
Right.
Pretty good amount of money.
I still do use Amazon Prime. Like, my mom has a Prime account that I use, so just so we can avoid having two separate accounts and paying that extra Prime money. But I still do use Amazon. Like, I still will buy things from Amazon. So I mean, in a way, I'm kind of a hypocrite, but it's I don't try to often, right? I really only do it whenever it's for something like small, or I need it very quickly, because they do provide a good service. But it's kind of like Microsoft. It starts to turn into something that's bigger than what it like needs to be, in my opinion. And I understand they employ a lot of people, but it just, I'm not saying boycott Amazon. I'm totally not saying that, but it's like, don't just buy everything that they come out with.
But it's also, you've got to look at, I don't know if y'all have seen any of the articles lately about how they treat their staff at Amazon, like at the
Yeah, like
warehouses
some of
and
their
stuff like
distribution
that.
centers.
Apparently the like IT side of it is really nice. Like working in their IT,
Yeah, all their desk
like as a
jobs.
like their data center technicians get, they have, apparently it's really good there, from what I've been told. So I believe the main issue is the warehouse, which is kind of their entry level, anybody can do that job kind of thing. So it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Excuse me. Well, but I know quite a few people that drive, like, are delivery drivers for them,
yeah, I have a
and
buddy who does that too.
they make pretty good money for, just being delivery drivers, and they usually, you know, excluding around Christmas time and Cyber Monday and all that, they'll go out on their one delivery track, deliver whatever packages they have, and then they're done, but they get to clock the full 8 hours. So if they just hurry through and finish their package, they can get home at like 1 o'clock and still get their full day's pay. But then also, once it does get into holiday season, they're there till like midnight and absolutely hate their lives. So
Right. I mean, like, cause like you said, you know people who do the delivery driving. I have a buddy up here who does it, and he says it pays really good, and it's not very hard work.
yeah,
So,
he's just walking around. I always I kind of agree with you that I don't like giant monopolies. That they
mhm.
own everything and they like Disney. Disney is the epitome of Satan.
Well, right. It's like Disney. Well, I mean, not in the same like scope, but in their worlds, like Amazon is huge, Disney's huge, Microsoft is huge. Yeah, we're starting to get these companies that are just starting to become all encompassing in their field.
Yeah.
Because I
And
mean,
so nothing else can get started.
I mean,
Yeah,
name me
they're
a
basically
competitor to
just
Amazon.
mega companies.
I mean, name one competitor to Amazon. There isn't any.
AliExpress.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's
Oh
actually
yeah.
it's actually very big in like China and Asian countries. So
Right.
yeah,
That makes
suck
Yeah.
sense.
it.
But as far as like the U.S. market,
Yeah, there aren't any, but
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
US
crazy.
market, it's Amazon or
I would actually say Walmart is kind of getting
Walmart.
up there.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't even know Walmart did any kind of
Oh, dude, if you haven't, you
delivery.
should check out their curbside pickup. That's all I ever do now is Walmart's curbside
I
pickup. It is fantastic.
hate their curbside
What?
pickup.
Why? It's so nice.
Dude, it took them 45 minutes to get like half an order of groceries out to me.
All right, when did you go to pick it up though?
It was at like fucking 7:30 at night.
Okay, that's the problem. Any weekday, if you go after 5, you will not get your groceries on time. I always go Saturdays from like 9 to noon, and there's no one there, and they will give them to you immediately. And it's great because then I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just sit out in my car. Some dude's like, "Yo, you want it in the back seat?" I say, "Yeah, put it in the back seat." And then he dumps his big load in my back seat.
I don't really like the curbside pickup. I do use Instacart. I use Instacart a lot because going to the grocery store is like makes me anxious really bad.
Yeah, I
So
hate grocery stores so
I
much.
hate them. That's why I use Instacart. I know it costs like quite a bit more to get them delivered, but I mean, I can get so much done using Instacart.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I've
And a lot of
never.
people, a shitload of people up here don't know about it, which blows my mind because Dallas is supposed to be like the tech, hub of
Yeah, for
Texas,
Texas.
essentially, other than Austin. But Austin's just having all the Californians move there, so it's becoming the new Silicon Valley or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I think the Silicon something. There's another name
Silicone
for it.
dustpan or something.
It's like the Silicon Plain or something weird that
Yeah.
it just makes I'm like whatever.
I personally love curbside pickups, and if a store or restaurant has a curbside pickup, I will do that over any other option because it's great. I just pull up and they throw things at me and I leave.
Well, yeah, but you're antisocial, so
Well,
it
yeah, but
makes
it's the
sense.
best possible situation.
I mean, I'm
No,
not
I do agree.
antisocial, but like the grocery store just it is murder, dude. I cannot do it.
Yeah, because
There's so many people there that are just
they're just so
like none of them
inconsiderate.
are in a good mood.
Yeah, no
It's
one
like
likes
everybody
going
who
to the
goes to the
grocery store.
grocery store, it just hates life. I'm like, what's
Yeah,
wrong? Like,
you're not wrong. Yeah, But every time I go to the grocery store, there's at least once, but almost always more. I just am thinking in my head, God, I hate these people. They're so annoying. I hate everyone in this store because one of my like biggest pet peeves, and it's so small, and so like non-important thing, but when you go to the grocery store, right, and someone is stopped in the middle of the aisle, thinking like looking at the aisle, trying to decide what they want to pick up, and they have like their cart parked in the dead center and they're standing in the dead center, so you can't get around them on either side, so that you walk up to
Oh
them
yeah.
and you go and then they kind of like stand there for a couple more seconds and you're like, excuse me, and they go, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there, like they're not an inconsiderate piece of trash. And I just really
God
don't like
damn.
grocery stores.
Going off on grocery store people.
I mean, dude, people in grocery stores,
No.
I swear, they just got hit in the face before they came in. I'm like, what
They just
happened, dude? Are
forgot
you
how to
okay?
act in like society.
And oh man, don't even get me started on malls. Oh,
I
Oh, I
was
100%
talking with
do not go to malls.
right. I was talking with my
dude.
roommate, and I was like, "Yeah, I haven't been to a mall in like 10 years, probably." He's like, "What? Why?" And I was like, "Who enjoys the mall other than
Dude,
like
people,
teenage
I swear,
girls?"
Other than Robin Sparkles.
it seems like everyone at a mall also just like they will not move out of your, like if they're walking towards you, there's no movement. No, they have to, like, it's like everyone's trying to prove something.
Yeah,
Which is fucking stupid. Like,
Right.
if
I don't get out
you're
of the way. I'll just
in
move. I'm like, okay, whatever.
if you're in a public setting, like whether it be sidewalk, grocery store, mall, what the fuck ever, road rules, people, road
yeah.
rules.
Stay
You
on the
walk
right
on the
hand
right
side.
side, and it
Yeah.
avoids so many fucking issues.
It really does. That's like
Makes too much sense, dude. You need to stop.
when
Oh,
I
I know.
stop on the side of the road or side of the aisle, like I literally will step up against the aisle or the side that I'm not looking at, and then pull my cart over, like lift it up and drag over so that it's all as close to the aisle as I could get, so I'm not in
Yes,
anybody's
you
way.
can let people go by.
Then there are people that are like, nah, I'm just gonna stand right here in the center, and you're gonna deal with it. I'm like, all right, I
You
hate you.
move. I'm just like, why, dude?
Yeah. I think, people are just kind of inconsiderate when it comes to public places. Like, one thing I will never understand is how people treat like service workers, like fast food
Oh
workers,
man,
or like
yeah.
just anyone in what they consider a lesser job. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can do that, especially if
Well, I
it's
mean,
at like a
go
fast
ahead.
food restaurant. They're handling your food. Be
Well, even when I
nice to
worked at
them.
Starbucks, dude, I just got finished making this lady's drink, and she came over, opened it, and was like, "I asked for no whipped cream," and then she like pushed it back towards me, and so I grabbed it, said, "Okay," and I dumped it real quick and threw it away because I'm in a rush. I had like several other drinks I was making, and this has been a while back, and I still remember this because it made me so mad. And I finished remaking it, and I put it out there and called out the name or whatever. Or no, her husband was Ari or some dude. I don't know. He was with her. I don't want to assume anything. So,
Yeah.
but he was he wasn't very like super tall. I mean, I'm 6'3", and he was probably about 6 foot, 5'11" or 5'10". So within that range.
Yeah.
But he was huge. Dude was jacked out of his mind. And I finished making the drinks, and I said, "All right, cool." And he grabbed the cups, yanked them towards him, spilled them on himself, and looked me in the eye and said, "Fucking moron," and walked off. I'm like, "Wow, okay, that's just I don't know what I did.
Right?
So,
Like,
wow,
so
what
Sorry, I
uncalled
didn't.
for.
Sorry, I didn't remember you didn't want no whipped cream. Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
act like
like
I killed
even
somebody."
even if they mess up your order, they've cooked so many different things that day, and they mess up one small order. Like,
Oh, dude, people get pissed too. You're
I
like,
Oh, it's
why are
the
you
know,
end of
so
the
upset
fucking
about
world.
this?
and I don't
Right, it's like it's
understand
the
it.
end of the world. You're like, calm down, dude. It's just food. Like,
Like they're either gonna fix it or give you a free something, or just eat the freaking whipped cream. It's just whipped cream. You're not gonna die unless you're extremely lactose intolerant. But then you probably shouldn't be going to Starbucks.
Right?
true, true, dude.
Like if I'm one of those guys that's like, hey, no whip. They put whip on it. I'm like, oh,
Cool.
darn.
Dude,
Eats it anyways.
Stick the straw through it and just deal with it.
They can straight up give me the entire wrong meal. Like, I can order a Whopper and they'll give me chicken nuggets, and I'll be like, thanks, bye.
Yeah, usually same. I usually don't care. I'm just like, it's food.
I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to be that one person that holds up the whole line just to get chicken nuggets instead of a burger that all taste the exact same.
It's just so extra,
Yeah, it really is.
Like, is it worth the effort? Because that's what I go based off of. Is it worth the effort? Because if I just don't care enough, which I usually don't, then I'm just like, whatever. Yeah. What I got is still awesome.
Yeah, well, even just be nice to people. Like when I worked in retail, people were so rude, and I'm not a nice person, but I am very good at putting on a fake nice persona, especially when it comes to customer service, just because I don't want to deal with Karens. And the one question I would always get is, "Oh, do you have any more of these?" I'm like, let me go look," and I'll spend like 20 minutes looking for their product, not find it, and like, "Oh, it shows in our system we only have one, and since I can't find it, that generally means it's been stolen or lost or our inventory is just wrong, like it happens." And they're always like, "Oh, well, go look in the back," and I'm like, "We don't keep these product in the back, and even if we did, it would not find it back there." They're like, "Well, no, you're gonna go look." I'm like, "Okay," and so I would just walk back to the warehouse and stand in there for like 10 minutes, and then come back and be like, "Yeah, no, I didn't find it, man. Sorry."
Darn.
But
shucks.
That's the move.
But if the person was really nice to me, like they're like, "Hey, man, sorry, I don't want to bother you, but I really want to buy this. It looks really cool. You think you can find it for me?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude. I will dig through everything, every bin we have in the store to find this product for you. You're just even slightly nice to me."
Well, it's like even if the person who say they said, "Could you check the back?" and you said, "Oh, we won't have that in the back." If they had just been like, "Oh, okay, well, if we can just get it, resolved some other way or somehow."
Right. Because then like, "Oh, cool. Well, here, let me give you one of those sales guys, and they can order it for you and have it shipped to your house in a day." But not because you're being a jerk about it. I hope you don't get the product. And then they always hit you with the, "Well, I'm not going to shop here anymore." And I'm like, thank God.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, we don't care. You don't realize I'm paid to work here. Like, it doesn't matter to me whether or not you shop here.
Yeah, like, "Oh no, I lost your $20 you were going to spend on a remote. Oh, however will I live?"
And people who are like, "Oh, well, you should care because that's how you make your money is by getting, customers and such like that." Because I mean, a lot of people are on commission, so that's different. But
we don't even work on commission, and our store made, $400,000 a day. So why would I care about your single sell?
Like, you're one person. I don't care.
Back when I worked in retail, I was a pro sales. Like, I sold to contractors, and I would have the ones come in that would be like, "Oh, well, I spend millions of dollars here every year, and I'm in here every day doing business." And I'd be like, "Okay, let me look at your account real quick." And they're like,
actually,
because I could pull up their account with all of their information over the last 5 years, and I would pull it up and be like, shows you spent 20 grand here over the last 5 years. Bye.
Right. It's like, that's nothing. I don't know. I think everyone at one point in their life should work retail or food service or just any kind of small service job, because it really gives you perspective on how little those workers care about you and how being a jerk to them is only going to make your experience worse.
I had an actual thought about this with my job because I am a DC tech. So we get new management a lot that just come from other companies, and they have previous management experience, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. But I was like, why don't we send these guys whenever they come here, work with us in the DC or with whatever department they're going to be managing, work with that department on the floor and get an idea of how it works, because a lot of these managers just don't really actually know how it all works. I can't
don't know
even name
jack
how many
shit.
times I get hit up by management that's like, well, why don't you just do that? And I'm like, I can't do that.
Right? You're like, that doesn't
It's
make
not how that
feasible
works.
sense.
Yeah, like that's not how this works.
Yeah. Which then it kind of brings in the whole, once you get CEOs that are making millions of dollars a year and have probably never once in their entire life, actually used a computer, just making outrageous demands on people that don't make any sense, but that if they don't do them, they get fired for it, even though it wasn't their idea.
Yep.
Well, that kind of flows into the. Y'all see the Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for like $70 billion?
Yeah, I've been seeing people talk about it through TikTok and YouTube and
Just,
everything else, all of the social medias,
which I
talking
think,
about it being a monopoly. Like,
yeah,
it's bordering on monopolizing the game market because
I,
Microsoft now owns so many high-end developers. I mean,
yeah, but honestly, if you really think about it, PlayStation and Sony are actually probably closer to a monopoly than Microsoft is at the moment.
you think so?
Yeah, dude, they have a ton of in-house studios, and they do a ton of exclusivity deals. They have a bunch of exclusivity deals with Epic. Like
Well,
they,
that's
it,
kind of the deal, though, right? Sony is more so into the exclusivity side, which is why, they're probably pretty upset about the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft.
yeah, which was a smart play on Microsoft's side,
Oh my
honestly.
god! And it's crazy because I watched there's Legacy Killer HD on YouTube,
Hmm.
and he like goes through all of like the money that these cash on hand that these companies just have, and
Yeah,
Microsoft has like an insane like 130 something billion is their cash on hand.
yeah, it's crazy. And
It's insane how much money these companies just have.
well, I think this was like one of the biggest acquisitions in like gaming history at the moment, of just like purely the amount they spent on the acquisition. Because like the next one before this was it? I don't think it was Bethesda. I think it's when they bought Bethesda or ZeniMax and Bethesda for 20 billion, something like that. So it's like three times the size. And I don't know. I hope I'm kind of okay with Microsoft buying up a lot of these devs because they have a ton of money, so they can just tell the devs like, "Yo, just do whatever the hell you want. Like, no more crunch time, no more getting molested by Bobby Kotick. You can you can just kind of work and put out, whatever you want to."
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's also not going to be like that because it's still a corporate company. It's not
I don't know, man. If you've ever looked at Phil
an in.
Spencer, who is the CEO of, I don't think he's CEO, but the head of Microsoft Gaming Division, he's a really good dude, like a really good dude, and he
Yeah,
is very big on just letting developers kind of do whatever they want. So,
yeah.
other words, I'm glad they took the company away from Bobby Kotick and gave it to Phil because Bobby Kotick is a piece of trash.
yeah, I think so too. I do not like Bobby Kotick.
Brandon, do you know who Bobby Kotick is?
Nope.
He's
Was he that like bro dude CEO guy?
one of them, yeah.
He's
He's pretty old, I think, at this point. But he's the CEO of Activision Blizzard, and
Ah,
they were having their huge scandal about people getting molested and the dude bro environment of gaming, and I think they have proof, or they like had a bunch of emails proving that Bobby Kotick knew it was happening, was participating in it himself, and was just doing absolutely nothing about it. So
mm,
basically there was a
basically
bunch of
just
the
a piece of trash.
executives would like harass the female employees
Yeah,
and just managers, executive. I mean, just anybody would. There was a lot of harassment towards
mm.
female employees,
which is just
even
sad.
even physically. It's really
Which
really
that
gross.
like I feel like that a lot of that stems from uh
Apparently, that was the environment even before the
yeah.
Activision Blizzard uh, joining. Apparently,
Yeah,
that was an issue with both
I
companies,
think
or
it's a
mainly Blizzard though.
think it's a big issue like in a lot of them because I know Riot is still having uh a lot of those like people rioting and not and walkouts and stuff because of the amount of just garbage that the upper staff in Riot is putting all their players through or all their employees through. I don't know. I think it like kind of stems from just the atmosphere of gaming in general because atmosphere is very dude broy
Yeah.
and as three
And
white
especially
dudes.
like Activision as like what they release. That's the ultimate dude broy
Yeah.
like
it really
gaming
is.
title
Bunch of
series.
big armed dudes doing the Terminator or Predator clap, with their biceps
The
rippling.
Predator handshake. But it's like Call of Duty and what else does Blizzard do? Aren't they like
well, Activision does Call of
World of
Duty.
Warcraft?
Blizzard, yeah, is World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo. What was the other big one? They do Hearthstone? I think they. I don't know, but they do a lot of very big competitive games.
Yeah. So it's always those games have always been those are for the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
I don't know. I don't get it. It's the whole like gatekeeping of the community, like when someone's playing an online game and then they hear a woman's voice so they all get on mic and like show me Bob's and Vagine. Like if you want a woman to play video games with you, maybe don't harass them and they'll play video games with you.
right? Yeah. Cuz it's like there's no fucking point to doing that.
I mean, it's also immature too.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a lot
Especially if it's
like
just based off the fact that they're a girl. It's like, okay,
yeah,
chill,
that's
dude.
just you don't know how to act as a human, as an
Mhm.
adult human male. But like, I've just never understood gatekeeping in general because they'll do it a lot in the D&D community where
Oh yeah.
you'll try to join a game and they'll be like, oh well, you have to have these books and you have to have these materials and you have to make this kind of character because we need a healer in our class or a healer in our group, so you have to do that even though you don't like playing healers. You have to, and if you don't, you suck, and even if you do, you're playing it wrong. Like, if you really enjoy the game and you want people to be playing the game with you, just be nice to people.
Right. Quit making up these rules that
Yeah.
don't exist. Like that's not a rule. You can't make me, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even when we were setting up our game, I remember you guys were having a conversation like, oh, well, we have a tank, and so now we need like a healer class. And I was trying to tell y'all, like, no, you don't. Like, if all of y'all want a tank, we will figure out how to make that possible for you guys. Because that's way
Yeah.
more fun when everyone's just doing what they want to do.
Well, and that's kind of where we like cuz we were like, well, we need one, but nobody really wants to play it. And I was like, well, I've played Paladin and I enjoy playing Paladin, so it's got some healing attributes, but I can still be a damn tank of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So
now you're the big tank at the front that is just picking up people by the scruff of their neck and it's like, nope, you're not dead yet. Get back in here.
Well,
yeah,
it doesn't even seem like Brandon's the main tank either. It's Redney, I think. Dude,
Dude,
he can take so
barbarians,
much
man.
damage.
it's Michael
Yeah,
and Isaac.
barbarians are sick.
Yeah, barbarians are a good class, but it also, um, which I'm more than fine with. Preface all before I start shitting on all of y'all's characters. I really like support classes, like spell casting heavy classes, like wizards and sorcerers and stuff, just because I think it adds a lot of flavor to the game. Because there are a lot of spells that do a lot of different things, and you can interpret them in all sorts of crazy ways. So you can do whatever you want if you just put a little bit of thought into it. You can be like, oh, well, I'm gonna cast Mage Hand to fly around the door and knock on it, so then it brings someone in. Where I'm then gonna set AOE attack, so it just clears the whole hallway after I've lured them all in there. Like, you can do small things like that. But
See, dude, I'm way too pea brain for that.
It's like even Paladin, I have, 6 spell slots right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just managing those 6, I get fucking stressed out because I'm like, well, I need to use this, but I need to save this in case anybody goes down, so I can't do this. And I'm like, well, at some point I'm just gonna have to say fuck it and take this guy out and just deal with the consequences later.
Yeah, I mean,
So
pretty much.
I mean, wizards have it a little easier because they have a lot more spell slots and they've got cantrips to do
Those have
fucking
a lot more spells.
damage, but it's like it's one of those things where I would have to just actually sit down and like
Think it
focus
out.
too much, and I'm like, I'd rather just like slap some guys real hard,
Yeah.
and then occasionally heal somebody.
Yeah, which that is totally fine. You know, because that's the way you guys like to play, which I'm more than okay with, because it does it also has its own little like form of craziness where you guys are like, hey, I'm gonna go in and punch a dragon, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a smart idea, and then
And
y'all
we're like,
go in
nope,
and
fuck
just
it.
absolutely murk a dragon by punching it in
Yeah.
the dick until it dies,
Yeah.
and so it's
Well,
like,
I don't know. I don't know if I've said it in the in game yet. Like my character stated it, but my character is chaotic neutral, which is why I do try to steal things sometimes. But then I do something that's really nice, and I try to keep it still chaotic though, so you can never guess what I'm gonna do.
yeah, just
Yeah.
absolutely random. Like one time you're like,
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I love this guy, and next time you're like, I'm gonna steal all this shit.
Yeah.
so the fun part about the paladin I chose to play this time is I'm a chaotic neutral paladin, which is not a
Oh.
thing you normally see. But I'm a paladin of a god of war. So it'd be kind of weird to try and play that as lawful neutral, like,
Yeah.
or lawful good. Like, so it makes much more sense to me to be chaotic neutral or chaotic good. I don't remember. It's
Yeah.
one of the two.
Which I mean, but it also plays into the god that you chose, which is another aspect I really like of D&D is you can just make whatever the heck you want and then just like find something to justify all of it. So like cuz your god is very the only thing he cares about is solving arguments through strength and like just fight fair, but
Yeah,
sometimes
honorable.
the quote unquote good guys win, sometimes the quote unquote bad guys win. Like he doesn't choose one side or the other. It's just whoever's stronger wins. So it makes
Yeah.
sense with your character. But
Yeah.
then you got people that just base their character off of Hellboy.
I
Yeah, dude,
hit things and I hit things and I hit things.
Not
And that's all
talking
I do
about
is I hit
anyone in
things.
particular. Totally hypothetical. Just kidding. Love you, Michael.
It does crack me up though, the different mentalities whenever it comes to D&D, because there's people who are more serious, and then you have people who just don't care and they're just in it to have fun, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
But
Because
ultimately, it boils down to is you should have fun when you're playing D&D.
yeah,
Exactly.
which and for some people, fun is just knowing all the rules and applying all the rules exactly as they're stated in the book, and it's like you can enjoy that, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
Because
I
we had I was playing a campaign with some people, and we had a guy kind of like that was very rules centric, and if you tried to do
Mhm.
anything other than what was explicitly stated in the rules, he was like, "Oh, actually, you can't do that on page 247. You know, Article I, paragraph J. It says that you can't do that." And I'm like, man, just let me have fun.
Right?
right?
I want to do a backflip off a table and karate chop some dude's head. Let me do it. I don't care if I'm wearing 300 pounds of armor.
Right? Yeah, no, my whole thing with that is like especially with the group we're playing with right now because what, 3 of the guys have never played before?
Yeah, I think well, I don't actually know. I think one of them has played quite a bit and actually DM'd a couple of times. I think Gabe has,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow. Nice.
but I don't know. And I've played a
But
bit, and then you played a little bit with me.
yeah.
Me and Brandon and one of our buddies, Richie, we used to
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
together too.
But it's one of those deals where like I've played enough to know, and I consume a lot of D&D content, probably way too much, but so I know a lot of the rules, but I'm not trying to like rule lawyer the whole time. I'm just
Unless it works
making
in your
it.
favor, and then.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's also one of those where I'm trying to get the guys to understand the things they can do that are just fucking ridiculous.
You're trying to actually show them. You instead of just doing it, you're like, here's why I'm doing this and what this can do with all the synergies.
Yeah, but I'm like reminding them of class abilities and stuff like that, where hopefully they'll start.
If you rage and then frenzy and then activate your totem, next round you can do 300 damage and not take anything. Or you can just stand there and punch them,
Yeah.
It's kind of up to you. But I
But the
also.
fucking two barbarians in the party, I yell at them all the time. I'm like, rage, rage.
The rage.
They're like, oh yeah, I'll rage.
Like, well, I don't want to waste it. It's like, you have so much.
Like, this is the main fight we're gonna be in today. Use it now, so we can just get it over with.
It's like, you guys are 100% get a long rest before you get into any other serious fight. So use it all right now.
It's like we got this big camp that we're in a big battle in. There's nothing else around the camp. We're here to clear this camp. And you don't want to use your 3 rages of the day.
Like, that's our task. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be able to say the word barbarian without then following it with, I want to rage.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, it seems like every time we play, they're just in a constant state of rage, too.
I mean, that's kind of the whole aspect of barbarians.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be get in a fight. Your first turn, you say, I want to rage.
I like how Jeremy asks every time, too.
I do.
Are you raging?
Because
Are you raging? Every time.
I'm just like, guys, come on.
Like, that's how a barbarian is a good class, is with rage. Because you can't just... like, you can still play a barbarian that doesn't rage. Just, you're going to go down a lot. Mm-hmm. But if you rage, you almost never go down in a fight because you're taking half damage of what everybody else takes.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
That's one of the reasons I think a lot of people don't like D&D is because they're just like, oh, all you do is say, all right, I punch this dude. Now I punch this dude. Now I punch this dude. Like, you can do that, and that can be fun in its own right. But it can also be so much more beautiful, and you can sell trail mix, and you can burn down orphanages, and like there's so many.
We haven't done that yet.
I'm really glad because it would not end well.
Oh,
seeing as most of you guys are good alignments, and you're fronting for the Lord's Alliance, which is a lawful good organization.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
go well, is all I'm saying.
I am glad that none of us are playing fucking Murder Hobo. Like, none of us, like, decided to do that at all.
Yeah, it gets old pretty fast, honestly.
Very quickly.
But it can. I do or sometime in the future.
Well,
for
people who don't know real quick. For people who don't know real quick, what's Murder Hobo?
Oh, Murder Hobo is a character who claims they're a good alignment character, but they go into every town they go into, they usually get in a fight with guards or people in the bar or anything like that.
Constant life is a brawl.
Yeah, like basically you'll introduce a character and they go, okay, I'm gonna steal from him and then slit his throat. And you're like, aren't you a lawful good paladin? They're like, yeah, but he has money and I want it. And I can just do whatever I want. And I'm like, you can, but there are guards in this city, so I don't know if that's the best idea. I don't know if you guys remember when we played like our first game together, and I just set up like a little small area for us to go through.
What the fuck is happening? Sorry.
I just set up like a little area for us to run through, and you guys were definitely being murder hobos. But we got to one point where y'all did burn down an orphanage, and then like a bunch of guards showed up to try to stop y'all, and y'all were like, "What? We didn't do anything wrong. Now we have to kill the guards." And so y'all just started killing all the guards.
Was this in the current campaign?
No, this was when me, you, and Brandon played like a couple
God, that
years
must have been a
ago.
while ago. Yeah.
Oh, that was so long ago.
Man, I don't even remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, because we ran through Lost Mines of Phandelver, just the three of us, and
Yeah.
you guys played. It was a long time ago.
Was
I
it?
remember
Was there was? I remember one thing from that, and it was the little goblin buddy
Droop?
we had.
True.
Well, that if in our current game, because we also ran them through Lost Mines. I think Brandon, do you have it or does
Yep,
Michael
I've
have
got
it?
the
Yeah,
bottle of droop goop.
has a vial of Droop Goop.
Oh, that's what that is. What
Yes,
happened to him?
because he got melted by a dragon.
Yep. And we picked up a vial of his goop.
Because didn't y'all you
Didn't I
found?
drink it?
No,
I
you
think
drank
you tried to.
Rodney
You
goop.
think Rodney Group, yeah.
Oh.
Which he got turned into a gibbering mouther
I
and
died.
then was murdered, and then Brandon died him.
Yeah,
But no, you guys
I
found
put
a
him down.
dragon, and I was trying very hard to give you guys an opportunity to talk your way out of fighting the dragon, and y'all were just
We
like,
tried, but we didn't know anything about dragons.
yeah, and y'all were just like, well, what if we don't fight? Because I'll give you, a sword. And I was just like, the dragon doesn't look interested in that. Maybe some gold or something. But then I think one of y'all just punched it, and so then it like flame breathed all of you, and it should have killed all of you, but I let y'all live because I'm a wimp.
You can't just hard punish like that. It's not in you.
Well, because I gave you all a dex save out of it to take half damage.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think I gave y'all dex save out of it to take no damage, which there aren't dex saves on Dragon's Breath attacks. If you're in the cone, you get hit for the full force of it.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
I think it did like 80 something damage, and you guys were level
We were like
2?
level 2 or 3.
So
Yeah,
max,
we really weren't
max
high
health
level.
was like 20 something, and so it would have outright killed every single one of you in the first attack. But I think you
Hey.
also put Droop up front. You were like, Droop, go bargain with the with
No,
the dragon.
I don't think we did that.
And then he melted.
I don't think that's how it went.
I mean, I'm
just
saying that's
melts.
how it went. Well, because goblins have 8 health, and he took
Yeah.
81 points of damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they say if you take double your health points in one hit, that's an
If you go
automatic death.
negative, your health points.
Yeah, that's an automatic death. So
That's
he
insane.
liquefied, yeah.
Yeah, so he is now a bottle of goop
Yeah,
in my
which-
inventory.
Y'all have been trying to revive very poorly.
We haven't found anybody powerful enough.
I mean, that's fair. Y'all just got a book that resurrects the dead.
Oh, I'll use
Holy
it.
fuck, we do!
This is so kind of sidebar rant. This is another thing that I don't really care, honestly, but like I give you guys so many tailored magic items for like specific things that at one point y'all were like, man, I really wish I could do this. So then I give y'all an item that can do that, and then you forget about it entirely and never use it.
See, you can't trust me with this kind of stuff because I'm pea-brain, dude.
I know, that's fine.
I've
Probably
been
why my
getting
character
better,
doesn't make too
Jeremy.
much sense for me because I am
Y'all
pea-brain.
have been
So
getting better. I just love it's so funny when y'all are like, oh man, I don't know how we're going to get out of this, such and such situation. We're never going to survive. And then one of you goes, wait, that thing that just murders people when you press a button. We should use that. And I'm like, yeah, no, you probably should. That'd be cool.
100% the example Jeremy wants to give is the fucking necklace of fireball.
Oh my god. Don't even fucking... Ah!
So,
don't bring it up.
we got this necklace from what was it, a bugbear?
It was like the first fight y'all were in. It was a bugbear captain in like a goblin cave, and it was just a golden chain necklace with 6 little crystals that I described as looking as if they contained fire. like sparkling and glowing, and y'all like, oh, that's cool. We should look into that later, and then put it in your bag and forgot about it for like 10 sessions.
Yep. And then I used it and swiftly melted like 8 wolves.
Yeah, because it was basically, since none of you guys had any ranged attacks or any spell attacks or any AoE or anything, I was like, all right, I got to give him something. So I'm gonna give him a fireball necklace that when you throw a bead of it, it just acts like a fireball spell, which is a really good like 3rd level spell. And they did not touch it. And at one point, y'all guys were hiding, or you were staying in a tavern, and I was like, which one of you guys has that gold necklace y'all picked up? And you're like, oh, I do. I was like, oh, so as you're kind of sleeping, you notice like some heat radiating from this necklace. And as you pick it up, the crystals seem to glow even brighter than normal, and they're just putting out an immense amount of heat. And you're like, oh, okay. Anyway, so what do you guys want to do for the day?
I 100% don't remember that
I know you
conversation.
don't.
I also 100% am still sure that you did not share the fucking item detail with us.
I didn't, because y'all hadn't discovered it yet. Like y'all hadn't identified it yet, so you didn't know what it was. But I was hinting that maybe you should try to figure out what it was. And you guys
I
were
don't
just
know.
like, I even gave y'all a character in town that would just identify objects for y'all for free.
Hey, and she identified
didn't
all of
do
our
it.
weapons.
I know.
But hey, no, because we had to find a fancy ass pearl that you also just gave us.
Yeah, that you had to kill like 4 kobolds for. And I give you guys so much stuff. I'm so nice to y'all. And you still do nothing.
Seriously, I do you
I'm
guys
getting
so many
better.
favors.
You know what I love about my character though? Is how much stuff I can say, actually no.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, he hits you, you go down. I'm like, actually no.
I don't.
Brandon is the biggest, the dude who does that the most so far that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, it's because you probably have the better understanding of your character of everybody. Because a lot of the other guys have kind of the same skills, they just don't actually realize what they can do.
One of the barbarians is also a half orc that has relentless endurance, so he can go down to 1 instead of unconscious once per long rest. And then, but then you gave me that super neat fucking
Your
boon. Yeah, so now it's like you miss. I'm like, actually no.
No, I'm gonna hit this time.
And then I've got my paladin style is protection. That's my fighting style. So if I'm standing next to a friendly, as a reaction, I can impose disadvantage on attacks. So Jeremy will be like, "It hits," and I'm like, He's like,
disadvantage.
Okay, misses.
Gosh.
Which I'm all about. I love that shit. So, because that's how it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, Brandon does probably the best job out of all of us with playing his character properly.
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying.
it comes with more experience. So it just because I don't mind that a lot of you guys, because I know most of the guys, they just enjoy just being big, beefy dudes that just walk up to somebody who, like, rain down the power of the heavens on them, and they're like, hey, guess what? Dead. Like, your magic is no use here, magic man.
Right. It's really funny, though, the different play styles, for sure. Because I remember whenever we first started playing back a long time ago, back in high school, we would just play like off the top of our head.
Yeah,
which have to keep track of everything with paper and stuff.
Yeah, I want to try for us to try an in-person game, like a paper game, but I don't know if it would go very well because y'all have so much automated for you, and it already doesn't go very well.
I've made this as easy as possible, but you guys are still making it hard.
Yeah, honestly, like I have the next couple of fights you guys get into, I have actually made them rough, and the whole time I was making them, I was like, man, this is a really dick move. Should I do this? I'm like, you know what? No, they got to learn.
True. I mean,
they need to find
fair
out.
enough.
Mess around and you die.
I feel like I'm the weakest out of everybody so far.
Yeah, but you also have the least amount of like equipment and
True.
like
Very true.
special skills and stuff added on there, which we'll work on. Actually, it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, dude.
Have you worked on that backstory yet, Nick?
No, I
So the
haven't.
best way to trick me into giving you really powerful items is to just write a backstory.
That's where I got my actually no it hits.
Yeah.
I almost failed English in high school, so writing things is not my strong suit
I mean,
at
you know,
all.
it doesn't have to be good. I mean, you saw the notes that I took on the podcast topics thing. That's basically what my notes for D&D look like, and I made all of our stories. So it's good. I I have like I have so many Google Docs of all the stories, beats and things and character info and all the world building stuff, but then I have another one that I just jot down notes of stuff y'all do over like during each session. So I know not to, or I don't forget things. And those notes are the most bonkers, like most like bonkers notes in the world.
It looks like a guy who stalks a pack of psychopaths.
Yeah,
I bet.
kind of tough. Well, because I also
Probably
like
an accurate assessment.
since I know everything that's gonna happen and all the plot twists, all that stuff, I'll write it a note and I'm like, oh, the party um solved in quotes the puzzle for this door. I wonder if they missed anything. Even though I know full well what's going on.
Like I know these guys missed literally everything.
Well, I think I'm really bad about since I know everything that's gonna happen, it all makes perfect sense to me and it all seems so simple and so like
You're like,
why
this is
don't you get this?
obvious.
Yeah,
Come
this
on,
is so
guys.
obvious. But to you, y'all are like, okay, we walked into a room. We don't see anything in the room. All right, time to leave. Just like, no, if you just go over and flip the desk over and take one of the legs, unscrew it, and then go into the center of the room and screw it into a hole on the floor, it opens a door that leads to an empty room with a single bookshelf. And if you pull the third book down, it opens up the treasure trove.
It's
Like,
first grade,
yeah,
SpongeBob.
come on, man. Why don't you get this? No. Oh, but it's fine. I love that kind of shit.
It must be interesting being a DM because I've never DM'd for D&D.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I just
Seems
like
like a
having
lot of damn work.
it is, but I enjoy having the power of the universe at my hands. I can do whatever I want.
Fair enough.
I mean, if
I
you
mean,
guys want to like DM a one shot or something, I'll totally let you.
I don't know if I'm ready for that amount of responsibility.
I mean, you can find. I mean, I'll be totally honest. A lot of the stuff I make for D&D, I've ripped off of other stuff. So,
I mean,
like, there's a lot
isn't
of.
most art ripoffs of other stuff? Because I mean, any music now you can't make new like beats or anything, pretty much.
They're being inspired. All right, they're just taking inspiration from these
Yeah,
other works of
exactly.
art.
That's all,
Yeah.
dude. That's all it is. You're just inspired.
Exactly. Even when I copy paste whole pages of dialogue. No. But there is so much material on the internet of like side quests and full length missions and like whole worlds you can just set your campaign in, and I steal so much of them, all of them all the time, and they work great.
Hey man, as long as it works, that's all I care about.
True. As long as it's fun. What you guys are having fun, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Brandon,
Absolutely having fun.
I know you were saying earlier that you had a question that you to bring up.
So all life on Earth came from the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um. So if there was a complete extinction event, like all land life died,
Okay, I'm with you.
but ocean life still like maintained.
Is this like a hypothetical?
Would-
What would Oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
this
Yeah,
is
like
actually happening
what?
tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. No, like what would happen? Like, would in several million years the Earth just get back to the same point?
That is very interesting, right? I mean, would the human race still exist? Because we are a land mammal.
No, like all land life dies.
Including humans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I
but
just
what about
I wanted to make sure.
amphibious life?
So, I mean, yeah, probably. It'd just be different species,
They would just have
I
to
would
evolve
assume.
back into land creatures.
But would it
But
evolve back into the same?
Like it
Like,
would just the cycle would just repeat. It would like come full circle. Just
yeah.
a different species,
see,
maybe.
that is very similar to the premise on one of my favorite shows of all time, Futurama. There's one point where
Oh yeah.
they invent a time machine, but it can only go forwards, I think is the thing. So they accidentally trip over the lever and go forwards in time to a point where humanity is extinct. But then they're like, "Oh, well, since, you know, time is forever, we can just go into the future infinitely until we get back to an instance of the future that is the same as where we were." So they just like loop through to the end of the universe that then starts again with a new Big Bang and then go all the way back to a new future where they are just still alive in their normal time.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That was one of my favorites.
It's a good one. So basically what I'm saying is time solves everything, Brandon.
I mean, fair enough. But
Me
it's just
personally, I don't think it would be that simple. I don't think it would happen. Because how long are you saying?
like millions of years.
Millions of years?
Yeah, well,
Because
I'm saying
I
it
mean,
supposedly,
billions and trillions of years, yeah.
hypothetically, yeah, it's sure to be like something that could happen, but is it the most possible outcome? I don't think so.
I mean, we weren't the most blah, 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 possible outcome, and yet we're still here.
True. I think the probability of the Earth existing, just like any instance in the universe of the Earth existing like
Yeah.
it is today, is like 1 in several billion or something crazy.
Yeah, something insane. Well, but also,
Yeah.
if you then play into, since the universe is infinite and infinitely expanding, then kind of like, how some people think there's multiverses. I don't think there are multiverses, but I do think since the universe is infinite, there is an infinite number of things happening. So there is kind of a multiverse. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there are so many galaxies, and a single galaxy is so massive. Like, there's no way you're gonna look me in the eye and tell me that aliens don't exist.
Oh yeah,
I'm
no.
like, you are so full of it if you think this is the only instance of this.
of
Like, that's
life.
just insane to think of.
Yeah, like
I mean,
you
the
think we're
universe
that
is ever
important?
expanding.
Yeah,
Like, it just doesn't stop. Like,
exactly.
it's
But
like you can't even comprehend that.
so then, if infinite universes with aliens all over the place, if you go infinitely far enough away, there would be another Earth-like planet with another human-like race where three dudes are recording a completely pointless podcast.
Possibly, actually.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's totally something that's possible.
exactly. So what I'm
You said
saying
only.
is,
Are they
much
not
like
mango?
this podcast, everything in this universe is pointless. Life is meaningless, and it has
Facts,
no
dude.
reason for you to stay alive.
Spitting mad facts. Wow.
You want me to try and?
Well, okay,
You
so
want me to
kind of
try and get a refund on them, or
funding.
okay?
He's
You
refunding
okay?
these nuts, dude.
Mama's nuts got 'em.
Sheesh.
But
Tearing him up,
so
dude.
every time someone brings up aliens, the other question I want to ask is, do you believe in ghosts?
No.
See, that's
No.
always my answer as well. And
Well, so
Because that's not like something that's alive, right? I'm talking about just like in our dimension because I mean in theory insects like ants only see two-dimensionally, so they only see things like flat right in front of them because they use their antennae.
yeah,
So like if you wave your hand over them, they have no idea except possibly from the wave from the air,
yeah,
hitting
that's
the antenna.
something
But like
just
if you
went
just
over them.
like they just don't perceive certain things So like to them, I mean, it just doesn't exist, like technology and stuff like that, because it's an ant. But maybe to something that was more advanced, has evolved further. Possibly there's stuff that we aren't aware of. So I mean, it's I don't think there's ghosts per se, but
Yeah, because I'm the
who
same way. I don't
knows?
think there are ghosts, but they always counter with, well, if you believe that anything can happen, then ghosts can happen. I'm like, no, I don't think
I
there's a
don't know about
Because
that
ghosts
one.
aren't
related.
an arguably living creature. They're
Yeah,
a
you're saying there's a next step in our evolution that is totally reliant on all these random things that don't make any sense.
yeah.
But I have some friends that just swear up and down that they think ghosts are real, and I'm like, I can't disprove them, but I've also never seen them, so.
Well, it's just I don't know. It all depends if you believe in an afterlife too, right? Like if you just don't
Gonna
believe
get
in an afterlife, then
gonna get religious on here. Let's go. No.
I don't know if I want to do
All
that.
right, so God isn't real, and just go real hard straight away. But I mean,
Right into the religious, just nope.
don't no. But I feel like because I have those friends that are just like, yeah, well, what do you think when like you're just sitting there and then suddenly the room gets cold and you have this feeling that there's something else there, and I'm like, oh well, when the air got cold, I don't.
No, I just
It's
imagine
not
that's my
magic.
body
What do
temperature
you?
fluctuating
Yeah,
because it does that.
like there's so many
Yeah.
logical reasons to explain this other than ghosts.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of also people are bored, so you have to kind
Yeah,
of make life
That
exciting.
that can be a big part of it too.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
They just want something else, or even they want there to be an afterlife. So it
I just
isn't
want it to be
completely
exciting.
pointless.
So yeah, that way it's not completely pointless.
Yeah, gotta
Other
bring it
people
up.
out here seeking purpose. We're out here running away from it.
Bringing it full
Well,
circle.
that brings it even more philosophical. That if there is no afterlife and there is no purpose, then why try?
That's true. That's something that like I've thought about a lot. It's like why is there that effort, right? Like, to continue. It's I think a lot of
Um,
it's like that's just what you do,
yeah,
and also fear of
Well,
pain or what have you. Fear in general, I think, and that survival instinct.
I mean, for me, it's not even that like I understand that some people view it as, oh, well, I need to know that there's something for me after this so that I don't do all this for nothing. It's like,
Oh
well,
yeah, they're like
you're
totally
not
not okay with it just being nothing.
you're not doing it for nothing. You're doing it for fulfillment in this like
yeah, YOLO. You're doing it
in
for
this
now.
lifetime. Yeah, I mean, ultimately that's what it boils down to for me is like, well, I'm doing it so I can enjoy myself while I'm conscious.
Yeah, and I mean
And,
that's I feel like the best way to look at it too is like you got to be here anyways, so just try and make it as enjoyable as you can.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes
And
sense.
there's a lot of stuff that's awesome. Like I just found this new YouTuber. Well, she's not new at all. She's really popular. Called Itchy Boots, and she just rides a motorcycle. Like right now, she's riding a Honda CBR 300F all the way from Ecuador to Alaska.
God,
Oh wow.
It's
so
insane, dude. It's but oh man, just watching the videos, just the view, like just seeing it, it just looks so good, and like it would be so nice to do,
right.
but grueling at the same time.
Yeah,
So, but I feel like those kind of experiences are really what's like huge.
yeah. Really, it's all about the experiences and
Hey, dog.
not making some magical dude in the clouds proud of you.
Yeah.
Basically, bring it all back. Religion's stupid. No, just kidding. Please don't hurt me. I'm sorry. I was devoutly Christian for the majority of my life, so leave me alone.
Nah, yeah, well, growing up, I was never very religious. I
God,
only went to church with friends and stuff.
I was
Yo,
in it. I was deep in it. I was went to church 4 times a week.
bro, I think this conversation is the reason we started this podcast.
Probably,
How so?
honestly.
No, because when we first started talking about doing a podcast, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah, talking about
Oh,
being
really?
extremely religious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
I'm telling you, man. You ever have any questions about Church of Christ denomination and Christianity? I got you. It's all gonna end with, and so it's stupid, but I got you. But I also like, I
I knew there was a reason I hated you from the beginning.
it's because I'm
You
a
were a
good.
different denomination.
No, it's because I'm a good little church, a good little Christian boy. All right.
Well, I grew up religious too.
Well, yeah, but the wrong religious. So, I mean.
And this is why wars happen.
Oh, yeah, right now, exactly what we're saying. Wars have been fought over this.
Right, which is so dumb if you really think about
Well,
it. But
100%.
war
There's
itself
never
is
been a
dumb.
war between Church of Christ and Baptists, but
maybe not, a war in what you're thinking, but a war for the soul, Brandon.
I hate you so much.
I say this shit, like I say stuff like that, and the funniest part of it is that I've heard those words come out of preachers' mouths and them being totally serious and not ironic at all. So it just really hits home. Like it really is like, ooh, I don't know if that's okay. I don't want to talk about. Oh, actually, no. I was looking through my topic list. There is one other thing about Christianity I want to bring up. Very touchy, so we're gonna really get into it. Do you guys
Oh,
remember
yeah,
the
do it.
Power Team?
No.
No.
Okay, so
Is
I
that like
think
some Christian thing?
Wait,
yes and no.
was it the dudes that came into the schools
Yeah,
and tore phone books
yeah,
and bent pans?
yes. So you remember?
No,
Okay,
never
I
seen
yeah.
that.
It's
do.
the Power Team. I forgot what their slogan is, but it's like lifting for Jesus or something. And
Oh, what?
they
Dude,
would
that sounds
literally, like,
amazing.
we had assemblies, like school assemblies in middle school, where they would come in and they would set up like a bunch of stupid weights, and they'd get up there and there'd be some music playing, and they'd be like, yeah, we do this because Jesus loves us. And then they'd rip a phone book in half. And I remember there's one of them where this guy was like, yeah, look, I'm so strong, I can bend this rebar, and I'm going to prove to you that this rebar is, super strong and can't just be bent by anybody. And so he asked two people to come up, and he holds the rebar out and above his head and asks the two girls to hold on to it. And then he, like, benches it up in the air and, like, trying to prove that it won't bend under all this weight, except he chose two really small girls, and he also had his hands out as far to the edges as he could. So they were holding on to like the inch at the end. So of course it's not going to bend. And then he takes it and bends it over his knee, and everyone's losing their little minds. And I'm just like, but I
Like, this guy's
but
insane.
I'm like, whoa, God can give you super strength. And then
No, he just gives you the power, dude.
there was smart ass little Jeremy like, but that's just leverage and physics. Which I mean, if you
Dude.
want to get into it, physics was given to you by Jesus, so boom.
How? What? Really?
I mean that
Like, actually, or like?
no, that's just the argument. Although everyone makes as well. You can prove it all with science, but God gave you science, so boom, God wins. And it's just like,
I mean, technically. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean.
that's such a cop out answer. That's like me as a 5-year-old going, I'm right because I'm right and you're wrong. So,
But yeah.
God, we're already gonna get canceled on our second podcast for talking shit about Christianity.
Nah, dude. Religion you can talk about all day. There's just certain things you can't.
Yeah. Well,
As long as we
to
avoid
be on the
specifics.
to be on the positive side of things, like I was saying, I was extremely religious growing up. And some of the like nicest, most wholesome people that have nothing but love in their hearts, um, I know from church. Like that's the only reason I know them, and they are very good people. Like the people that would help you renovate your house if your house was falling apart and you couldn't afford it, so they would get them and 10 of their other Christian friends to go out and remodel your entire house for you. Like they're really good people. It's when you start using your religion to justify being a dick to others. That I'm like,
this is something that I think about like pretty often. It's right. Like I have no problem with people who want to practice whatever religion they want to practice. Right, none of us do. No one should.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, in my opinion. I mean, that's the whole point. But it's whenever you start becoming radical about it.
Yeah.
Right, like radical anything, just it's one of those things. It's like, okay, we're taking it a bit too far now.
Let's just take a step back here.
Right, like, and that's where I think it starts to step over that. Okay, it's a safe, just something people do to. Okay, it's getting a little out of hand and affecting other people's lives.
It makes you a better person. Hell yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
But if not, but then it starts spiraling.
It should be a choice.
Them, well, what you're doing, the way you're doing it is wrong, and so then
oh,
they just
dude,
go,
that
well,
wears me out.
Well, a big part of it too is just hypocrisy in the church, because there'll be all these people that are like, "Oh, well, I'm so righteous because I read the Bible every day and this and that, and I follow the words it tells me," and then they go be a dick to somebody.
Like right after.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I'm
what?
better than you, so you should not do what you're doing."
It's just that whole holier than thou mentality.
Yeah. And that's kind of the reason I stopped altogether, is because I was so much hypocrisy about it. Just so much like, you should love everyone because that's what God wants, except for those people that we don't like. Don't love them. They suck. They're stupid. Like, what?
All right, love everybody except for this group.
Except for them.
They suck.
And them over there. Oh, and also, the people just minding their own business, doing their own thing. Yeah, them too. They suck.
Fuck those guys too.
Like, how dare they not do what we're doing?
There was some dude I knew who was like hardcore Christian, like to the point to where he followed every word of the Bible like wholly, and he said it was just a miserable existence.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Was there somebody from high school?
Yeah, it was some high school kid.
Somebody that we grew up with?
No, this was after I moved to Midland. It was some kid in Midland. Okay. Or somebody one of my friends knew or something. I don't remember exactly. It doesn't matter too much, but
well, because one person came up to mind when you told me that. So.
Oh yeah, it's no one we knew or you knew.
Yeah, I don't know. It's much smarter people have had much more intelligent conversations about it than we ever could. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I mean, completely pointless podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just a couple dingleberries talking about whatever we feel like.
Just a disclaimer for all future episodes: we're all stupid. We don't know what we're saying. Don't take any of it with a grain of salt, because it's pointless.
Yeah, it's completely pointless.
Yeah, one could say. Well, to bring it back down on a somewhat
lighter note.
Yeah, somewhat lighter note. Have y'all seen any of the new Pokemon Arceus like footage or leaks that have been coming out?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. I don't follow Pokemon though.
Well, that was gonna be my second question. Y'all don't play a lot of Pokemon, do you?
I own Pokemon Diamond.
Played it?
Yeah, I played it.
Alright, well, basically all that's really happening is there's like been some leaks coming out, and everyone thinks that the new Pokemon game looks awful, and the picture they've been showing do look pretty bad. But they're also kind of, I want to bring it up because it bothers me, is when people like compare games from today to games from the past, and are like, well, this game in the past looks better, so why can't this game look more realistic? And I'm like, they're not really going for a realistic style, though. Like, you're comparing two different art forms. Like, you're comparing cartoon to realism, and it's just not a valid argument.
It's not how that works, right? Like, just because you don't like the art style doesn't mean it looks ugly.
Right? Like, it's not, doesn't look photorealistic because it was never intended to look photorealistic.
Well, that's like
it's
saying
Pokemon though. Like
the graphics for Borderlands is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was designed to a style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. It's not, their style wasn't, oh, I'm going to be hyper realistic.
Yeah, it was.
So
I'm gonna
why
make
the
a
fuck does
cool
every
cartoon
game
thing.
need to be that?
Well, that's even like another part of it is I really don't think graphics matter. Like I think
No, yeah,
graphics are
same.
one of the least important aspects of video games.
Totally agree.
And that whole mindset I think comes from movies where everyone's like, "Oh, movies have to look like pristine, like super clear." Whereas video games, like what was the one I was watching? Inscription. I don't know if y'all have seen any
Oh,
of it,
dude,
but it's like a
Inscription is awesome,
right?
dude. I
It's a
want to play that.
really
It
cool
looks
game.
super fun.
It
Yeah, it
looks
looks like it'd be.
amazing, but the graphics wise, like it doesn't look very good. I mean,
Well, have
I
you
think it looks
watched a
beautiful,
whole
but
playthrough of it though?
yeah,
Yeah, dude, the graphics change though so much
right?
that
Which I think is so much more important than just having
it's really
good
refreshing to
graphics.
me, honestly, because I mean, you can watch somebody play it, and it's interesting to watch because so much changes with the way it's played, and um, as well,
Yeah,
like the way it just looks and feels.
yeah, because I would just say that like making an immersive something that you can interact with and actually, find some entertainment out of it is actually important, whereas what it looks like is just absolutely stupid.
Hmm. I agree.
Because what was I was telling you guys about RimWorld. I love RimWorld. Great
Yeah,
game.
RimWorld does not look good, but it's really
It looks
popular.
really bad. But
Yeah, it does.
it is so much fun, and you can make so many stories and have hours and hours of fun on it, even though it looks like straight doo doo,
Hmm.
much like
But that's also
RuneScape.
it's one of those deals where the actual content is what matters, not the look of it, because they choose an art style to go with. Like, yeah, there's super realistic games and there's super cartoony games.
Hmm.
But then there's everything in between that as well.
Dude, just look at Fortnite.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Fortnite personally. I don't mind the way it looks though. I really don't care personally. But
Right?
then,
Like the
I mean,
cartoony
it's
style of it.
like okay, like if you take God of War for example, it's like meant to look cool and
Mm-hmm.
be like feel cool. It's supposed to be very awesome looking and very story driven kind of game. Like story driven games that are meant to look good, like the whole purpose is to look good,
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, right? Like if it looks
Oh
like
yeah.
trash, you're gonna be like, okay, well the whole point of this game was for it to look good.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think that those like photorealistic games are the ones that age the worst.
Yeah, I have to agree. Usually, right?
Because
Like because
they look really good at their time, but then you get a couple years in the future and you see how much
a
better
new
these
game.
other ones look, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that one didn't look so great. Like the uh one I always get so much flack from all my friends because they all love it, The Last of Us. I think The Last of Us is a very good game, and it looked really good at the time it came out, but it's not like the end all be all that everyone makes it sound. You know what I'm saying?
I've played the first one a little bit, and it's a fun game to play.
Yeah, like
But
it's real
it
fun.
does
It's
look
really
good.
nice.
Well, it's like Crisis back in the day.
Yeah,
Crisis was like supposed to be like the what is it, benchmark for your PC?
pretty much.
How much FPS you could get?
Yeah,
But
if
the
you can
thing
play
is,
this,
it's still a valid benchmark.
yeah, it's still a good game. That one is definitely really good
It
and was
aged pretty
way
well.
ahead of its
Like
time.
like Crisis, the original game. It's not the prettiest game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the fanciest looking game, but everything was in place. Like
Which game?
nothing looked
Crisis.
Crisis, the original one.
Oh yeah.
Nothing looked out of place. Everything fit together. And the physics in that game was the biggest driver of why people say, "Oh, can it play Crisis?"
But yeah, like
I never
Crisis was so
played
good.
Crisis.
It was good. It
Sadly,
was a good game. It's just a shooter, right? Like
Yeah,
a
basically.
stealth-based
it's a
shooter.
first person shooter. Yeah.
Which
Crisis 3 is
super
really good. I really
That's
like
what I've
Crisis
heard.
3 and it still looks good.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those games like they chose a style. It's not like hyper realistic. It's fairly realistic, but it still looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Even today that game's been out for like 10 or 12 years now
right.
and it still looks good.
that is like another part of trying to go like photorealistic is those are the games that I always feel the most like uncanny valley coming out of them because once they start looking pretty close to human, then you really start noticing all the small things like, oh, why is their lip like just slightly too high, like they're smiling
Yeah.
weird, their head movements are just a little weird, like it all just looks off even though your
Well, I
mind
mean,
is
it's
telling you like, no, that's a person. It shouldn't be off.
like Mass Effect Andromeda, dude. I don't know what happened with that, dude. The like facial animations are
Hmm.
so awful.
Yeah, they're really bad.
Like I'm okay with a game that is like, it's lower quality art style, but that's like a big AAA title that Mass Effect is known for looking cool, and I was just like, and they, back and forth character conversations. So whenever your facial animations just suck, I'm like, what?
Right?
That's the whole game is like, that's what's a big part of a
Yeah, it's
game.
a giant RPG where you talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, and if your facial animations just look like doo doo, I'm like, what? Like, who
Hmm.
approved this?
Well, even like I was telling you guys about Hellblade, what my favorite game of all
Mhm.
time. It does they did a lot of like motion cap and like photorealistic work, and for the most part it looks really good. But there are scenes where the only thing you can see is the protagonist's face, like it's pitch black, and then her face comes into focus. And some of those scenes, man, it just doesn't look right. Like it looks close, but it just looks wrong at the same
Something
time.
off about it.
Yeah, just something weird about it, which I
Or
think adds into
there's
the whole overarching story of making you uneasy and uncomfortable. Boom.
Well,
well
and I
also
mean, shit, I could say the same thing about Death Stranding because some of those cutscenes, like the way the mouth moves, is just a little bit wrong,
Yeah.
and it something in the human brain is like, well, I don't know if like what to think about that.
right, because it looks almost human but not quite.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
close enough.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing with the human brain. Because back a long time ago, whenever we still had Neanderthals and other humanoid species, uh, we had to be aware that, oh, that's human-like but not human.
Yeah.
Like it's not a Homo sapien.
Yeah, it's
oh, but
Neanderthal.
then there are those games that use that. Like they
Mm-hmm.
understand that happens and they use that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Detroit Become Human. These are human like synths. So if it's a little bit off, it makes so much sense and it makes
Yeah,
you
because
a li-
it is not human.
yeah, because it's not human, it's AI. So it's one of those like they use that and they understood like this is a little bit uncanny because it's another one of those hyper realistic,
Yeah.
albeit it's futuristic, but it's hyper realistic.
Yeah.
So
What's that?
they used it to push that idea of like, well, you can tell they're a synth because a little bit
Yeah,
is
because they're
off.
just slightly wrong. Well, what's that one game? It's like the story-based game that was really popular for a while when it came out about like the choices you make impact the end of the story, and it has
Talking
Freddie
about the one where they're
Mercury
like in
in
the
it,
mountain.
and
Oh, that's not
yeah.
it.
As
When I
what?
say Freddie Mercury, I mean the dude that
Oh
played
yeah,
Freddie
yeah. It
Mercury.
was the one where they were on the mountain running from the Wendigos.
Yeah,
I don't
because that
remember what that was called.
was it's really gonna bother me now.
It was like a little
Um,
group of friends that went up there. Dude, that game's so cool.
right? Like it's really cool and like the story basing, like changing your whatever you do, change the story, all that jazz.
Hmm.
But the facial expressions, dude, they pull me out of that game so hard because they just look weird. they,
Oh yeah.
they just look so wrong and I can't get over it. And I don't think they were intending it to work that way, but it did. So
Yeah, I agree on that one. It is kind of a odd one with their faces.
well, so
But the
kind
game is
of
so good. It
game
makes
is
up
very
for it
good.
because the game is so good.
Yeah. Kind of a sidebar though. So I saw someone talking one time about the uncanny valley and how it's since it's like instinct and stuff in us to fear something that is close to human but not human. that means that at some point in the past, humans developed an instinct to fear things that looked similar to us, and so then they were like aliens. You know?
Yeah, everyone was like, "Ooh, there was
Alien.
something that's been here with the
the
Egyptians."
lizard men and are body snatching us, and I'm just like, sure.
You're like, okay.
All right, I'm gonna go over here now. You could stay right there. I'll be back, and then never come back.
Yeah.
Dang. All right. Well, was that? There's another question I was gonna ask you guys. You're talking about the uncanny valley. What was it?
So the uncanny valley, that's like the whole idea of people being freaked out by things that are almost human but not quite.
Yeah, I think uncanny valley speaks. It's specifically about things in media and like video games and movies where it looks very close to real life, but it's not.
Right.
Yeah. It's gonna bother me now that I can't hate about it. I can't think about it. Whatever. Anyways, to bring it back to how we originally started talking about the Uncanny Valley, though, the Pokemon Arceus, I I really think that a lot of these people that are like really upset about Pokemon, I don't understand it because Pokemon was never about looking good.
That was my thing. I was like, I never remember Pokemon ever looking
Right? Like the
great.
Pokemon games never looked that great. They were just they were more about the mechanics and the game loop of it than they were about actually looking any sorts of okay.
Yeah, that's how I remember them. That's why I never
Yeah.
really played any of them. I was like, really for my vibe.
I mean, I enjoy the Pokemon games. Like, I started playing back when they were at like fucking Red,
Mm-hmm.
back on the Game Boy Color or something. So it's like I grew up playing that, so I don't have a problem with them like not looking the best because that's not like y'all were saying, that's never what they've been about. They've been about, oh, go
Catch them all.
go catch them all.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also like I used to be really into Pokemon, but then they're kind of all the same thing. They just do the same thing every single
Oh
time.
no, it's
Just add some more uh little animals you can abuse, and that's really it. There's no like major um innovation in the series.
Like what the appeal is.
yeah, everybody says that like Call of Duty games are all the same, but Pokemon is literally every Pokemon game has been there's two versions
Yeah,
for no reason.
just so they can get more money out of you.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you get in, you pick one of three Pokemon, you meet your rival, you
Name
go
him
through the game,
Dickface.
you beat 8 gyms, you go to the final four, you beat that, you beat the game. Every game is that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the same like the way the battles go for me in Pokemon. Just don't do it for me. I'm
Like the
like, God.
turn-based.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
can't Kingdom Hearts was, graphically it was very fun.
Yeah.
So to me that was okay, but it's not really like that. But I'm trying to think of other I don't play turn-based games because I
I
think they're
love
boring.
turn-based games,
Oh.
but
Speaking of
can't do
turn-based
it.
games, and having the conversation we had last week about our favorite games, I had thought about this topic like right after we ended the damn podcast.
yeah.
So, what is your earliest game you can remember sinking like hours and hours and hours into?
Fallout 3.
Is that your absolute like first game you did that with though?
Yes. Because my brother, I remember we went to GameStop because I went to GameStop with my brother, and he walked up to the clerk and he's like, "What's a game that he can't just beat in a
Yeah.
day?" Because I kept doing that.
So
We would
many
get a game,
hours.
I'd beat it, and then I would just whatever. And he said this one, and he handed us Fallout 3, and I've played that game like all the way through more than I think any other game.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. See, I started gaming pretty late in life, which is when I tell people that they're like, "That's real weird," because that's all you do now is game. Like you're a very avid gamer. I'm like, yes, that's my life. And so I like to tell my parents that it's their fault that I have a gaming addiction, because since they refuse to let me get any kind of video games, I like idolize
Now,
them.
now you're binging.
Yeah,
Now you're binging.
I was like, oh, these video games, they look so cool. But I think the first game I put like ton of hours into was Battlefront 2, or the original 2005 version, because
Yeah.
uh I would go over to a friend's house and we'd all be hanging out, and we'd start by playing some Battlefront on his PlayStation, and then they would all go outside and do sports, and then I would just stay inside and play Battlefront.
Yeah. So mine is so I guess I started fairly early because we had a Sega Genesis.
I do have a Genesis in my room right now that works.
You
But
do?
yeah,
That's
I have
cool.
games for it too.
That's cool. So I remember playing Sonic on the Genesis.
Nice.
I don't remember much else about that system. Then we got a PlayStation 1. Like an OG gray box PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I have one of those too.
And the game I remember most, well, there's 2 games. There's 3 games. But
just keep multiplying.
no, I know. So the one I remember playing absolute most of all and sinking the most amount of hours into. And I don't think I've ever actually beat the game. And I've gone back and emulated it and played through it and still haven't beat it today. Is Legend of Dragoon.
See, I
And it's
remember,
wild.
I don't even know what that game is.
See, I remember you playing that one time when we lived together, and I was like, ew, gross. Why would you play that? It looks like doo-doo.
But it was a nostalgia sink. So it's, I mean, I never played Final Fantasy, but I've seen some videos about it, and it is kind of early Final Fantasy like.
Mm-hmm.
The whack thing about that game, it was 4 discs.
Oh, what?
It had 4 CDs.
Right, 4 discs, total download side of 4 megabytes.
God.
Well, yeah, but you couldn't even download it. So
Yeah.
you would beat a disc, and it
now
would
input disc
pull up
number
a
2.
screen, and it's please insert disc 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some. I always really wanted to go back and just like play a bunch of the like really old video games, but every time I try, I really want to like them. But man, we've been so spoiled by uh video games we have today. They're just so good
dude,
and
100%.
clean, and the mechanics are flawless, and you go back and you play this like point
So
and
the
clicks, and
crazy
you're like,
part about
ugh.
it, though, and I've watched videos about this, is the biggest reason people can't go back and play games from their childhood and enjoy them as much, especially with like PlayStation 1 and Sega and all that stuff, is because they played them on CRT TVs. And the way CRTs draw their images makes the sprites and stuff look better.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are sprite based. And so you go back on these super like 4K TVs playing a game from the 90s, they're not going to look good because everything is crisp and crystal clear. Where a CRT kind of blends stuff.
Yeah.
And so they actually looked better on CRT TVs. And most people that are like avid, like classic gamers still use CRTs.
Maybe I should get one for my room for the old consoles I have.
Yeah, well, it'll look
one.
better.
Well, it's also just
That'd be really interesting.
when you're running it on lower resolutions, it looks a lot better because then when you try to scale it up, it adds everything and stretches everything, and just makes it look worse. Because I remember it was probably one of the first games I ever played was the Sly Cooper games.
Oh yeah, I have those games actually on PlayStation 2, dude. They were so good.
Right, they were so good. And I've
they're so good.
I tried to go back and play one of them, and I was just like, "Oh, this looks awful."
Oh, they look terrible now. They did not age well at all.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'll just play Skyrim for the 400th time.
Another one of those games was Gran Turismo 2 for the PlayStation 1. Put a lot of hours into that game. And
I think Skyrim was my next big one.
Yeah. And then Crash Team Racing for the PlayStation 1.
Oh, dude, Crash Team Racing on PS1 was legit. I think I still have it.
Yeah, I've still got it somewhere.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you bought the new one too.
And I bought the new one.
Was it new or was it just a remake?
Well, it's a remake.
A remake or a remaster?
A remake.
It's a remake because it's quite a bit different. It's similar, but it's still quite a bit different.
Yeah, once you get that big of a time gap, you kind of have to remake it.
Yeah, you can't really just remaster a PS1 game to modern stuff.
It turns into the GTA remakes.
Yeah.
Just look.
Dude, those were just a mess. They let a mobile game company do it, and they're shoddy anyways. I'm like, God, why, Rockstar? Why? And Red Dead Online is dead. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that makes me sad because I really like the first Red Dead Online.
It was so good,
fun.
dude. I had so much fun in the first Red Dead Online.
Right? There's just something about riding around on a horse in old cowboy times, just shooting things. It's great.
Yeah, especially other cowboys on horses.
Right? Dude,
because there was actually skill involved.
Did you ever do any of the races on this new Red Dead 2? Like any of the horse races online? They're so much fun because they have the whole physics mechanics of it. If you run into each other or run into things, you'll go flipping off your horse. So a lot of the races just turn into just giant piles of horses and bodies flipping around. It's really fun. And I wish there was more content for it, honestly.
Yeah, dude, Rockstar just isn't doing anything for it.
Right. Well, kind of related to like remakes and stuff. What's a game that you guys don't ever want to be remade or remastered?
Oh, that's actually that's a really hard question, actually.
Right? It's difficult.
There's a simultaneous answer for me of I want it to be done and I don't want it to be done.
Same.
I want Legend of Dragoon to be remade, but I don't want it to be remade because I know they will fuck it up.
Yeah. They'll just make it worse. Well, my answer would probably be Assassin's Creed 1. Because I see a lot of people in the Assassin's Creed community, they're like, oh, they should just remake the first Assassin's Creed. And I'm like,
it was so good.
Assassin's Creed, it was really good, but it's also kind of hot trash.
It was, but it did things right, like in like a realism way, right? Like as far as it's more realistic in my opinion, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that game, and I played so much of it, but like the combat mechanics are extremely repetitive. The climbing is not good. Like if you go back and actually play the climbing, like it was phenomenal for the time it was released because you could climb anything, but you would jump up on a building and then you'd sit there for 3 seconds while it calculated its next jump, and then it would jump and miss, and you'd fall and hit the ground.
Oh, dude, I hated that.
It wasn't very good, but I love that game so much. But I'd rather them just make new, better games.
Black Flag, I still feel like is one of their best.
So now we got to get into that argument
again. We did that last time too.
we didn't get into it last time. We are almost at about the exact same time of running out of time to talk about it. To really get into it, but I'll give you the synopsis of I think Black Flag is a phenomenal game. I don't think it's a good Assassin's Creed game.
I'm I really want to agree too, because it really
It's
wasn't that great.
game.
It makes me feel like a pirate, like third person Far Cry.
Dude,
almost.
I spent so much time in that game just boarding ships, just doing the ship combat. It made you feel like such a badass.
Were so good too, though. Like
right?
actually, the ship combat was done so well. Whenever they did, which one is it where you're like in the Roman boats and all you have is like spears and bows?
Odyssey.
Yeah, that one's. I don't like it. Like the ship combat looks like it's just not that cool. I'm like, what even?
Which is so weird because again, in Black Flag, I spent the majority of the time in the ship, just sailing around, fighting forts, fighting the legendary ships, doing all this stuff because it made you feel like such a badass pirate when you're like, get up, man, and then you swing across the fucking decks with your double swords, like just murdering dudes. So good. But then Odyssey, you're like,
I hate the new RPG kind of direction they're going. I hate it.
See, I like them.
It's not Assassin's Creed to me.
Yeah, it's kind of my same argument with Black Flag. Is I think they're good RPGs. They're not good Assassin's Creed games.
But they're so RPG esque now.
Yeah.
That you have like all these skills and stuff that you can upgrade. It just feels more. It's like it's leaning towards an MMO now, and I'm like,
Which because that's why I like them.
The damage isn't realistic
RPGs.
At all.
So you can it's getting into a whole other thing of why I like RPGs is because in the new Assassin's Creed, you can spec your character so that you can one kill anybody with assassin attacks, like stealth attacks. But the second you get into combat, you're going to get murked. But then I think it adds a nice layer to it to where you are an assassin. If you get caught, you're dead. But again, I don't think that would be pretty cool to play Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can go through every single Assassin's Creed and give you my
oh man, Unity is trash. Hot trash.
Have you played it recently? After they fixed it.
They did not fix it. I played it like a year ago and it was garbage.
Oh, they fixed it so much better than it was, because it was like game-breaking bad bugs in it all over the place.
That's what I experienced. I could not play it.
Well, especially the PC ports. Their PC ports are never good, but they definitely made it a lot better. And the story of it was pretty good. The gameplay was phenomenal. The parkour in Unity was some of the best parkour in the entire series.
You think so?
Oh yeah. It was so fluid. You had it kind of went back to multiple button controls where you could hold one button, you'd go up, you could hold another button, you'd go down, you could let go of both of them and you'd try to stay on the same level, and then he would do spins off buildings and spin down and drop down to the next building. There was a bunch of small fluid movements in it that made the parkour so good.
That's pretty sweet, actually. I should go back and play it, but
the game last time I shit on that, they just nope, all right, not doing that. They're like, we're gonna make RPGs now, and then everyone shit on that.
It just burned me because of how bad it was. I was like, God, dude, I couldn't play it.
I really like them. Did you play Valhalla, the newest one?
No, I stopped playing after
Valhalla is
whichever one.
Much like Assassin's Creed 4, a phenomenal Viking game, and not a good Assassin's Creed game.
It looks cool though.
Their batting average is really bad. They have, I would say, 1, 2 Brotherhood Revelations, 3, and maybe Syndicate. I would kind of throw Syndicate in there. They're all really good Assassin's game, but all the other ones are just kind of meh.
I never finished the first one, and so I tried going back and playing it.
It's impossible to finish the first one.
It's really hard.
Especially because Ubisoft still does this in all their games. They love collectibles. They put collectibles in everything.
I actually 100%ed Black Flag.
Yeah, I did too, and it took me forever.
It took so damn long.
They put little collectibles just on the islands in the middle of the ocean.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like a
dude, you have
single
to
island.
fucking boat there for
and then jump out and swim across and get your one little animus fragment and then get back on the boat.
Like they had to put one
Yeah.
here.
But it was worse in Assassin's Creed 1 because there were like the 3 big cities and then the one area in the middle that you could run around to each of the cities. And each of those had like 300 or 400 flags in them that you're supposed to collect. And I don't even think you could get locations for them. You just had to find them.
Jesus.
That game was bad about the collectibles. That and I think it was 2, Assassin's Creed 2, where you're finding the feathers for his mother after she goes into catatonic shock. They're really bad about putting collectibles because I think they think, oh, if they put more collectibles in there, that means it takes longer, so then it's a better game. And I'm like, no.
Well, they do say that like there is a statistic where it says the grindier a game, the better.
I mean, that's true though, because
So
how many
that's
games
why I
are
like
Skyrim
RuneScape
or
so
RuneScape?
much.
But I mean, there's so many really grindy games that are just super popular, like WoW and RuneScape and Death Stranding.
Death Stranding to me, I don't know if
there's-
I'll ever play.
You really should, but shouldn't. But should.
I just
So,
don't know if I can do it.
I think you should, not for the gameplay. I think you should for the story.
But if you're saying just do the story, then you should just watch.
I'll just watch it. Yeah.
Watch a playthrough. Watch a let's play.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really like the gameplay of Death Stranding. I find it very relaxing and very meditative. But I can also see how that would not work for a lot of people. So yeah, I agree. The story is really good, but it's also extremely confusing.
I was watching a Let's Play of it for a little bit, and I could not get into it.
Yeah,
I was sitting there watching it, I'm just like, man,
it's
just
particular.
it's like, I like weird stuff too, but it's like, it's pushing the limit for me. I'm like, okay, this is just a little out there that makes no sense. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's very, and that's why I think the gameplay helped me get through it, is because I started out the story and was like, oh, this is really weird, but I kind of enjoy just walking around and, just delivering packages, stacking up my backpack as high as I can possibly get it. And then I did that enough that then I was like, okay, well now I'm intrigued in the story. Like now I want to know what happens. So it kind of like fed into itself.
I get that part of it. But it's also like, I know I played it, like my first complete playthrough of it was during an extremely fitting time. So I had started it.
You also play Farming Simulator, so.
Well, yeah, but
so your opinion's useless, basically.
I had started it, and I played like 2 hours, and then I couldn't get into it. And then I had some confirmed contact with a COVID positive person. And so I had just had a kid, so we were being cautious.
Yeah.
So I was quarantining in our room. And so I would come in the back door, go straight to the room, not come out. And so I was alone. And that's a big part of what that game's about, is you're alone.
And connecting with other humans and all this overlaying stuff.
Yeah. But it was also like, I just had a kid. And it changed that game
and that's
so
a huge
much.
part of that game as well.
Especially
the ending, man. Whew.
So much impact from that game.
That ending hits, dude.
Yeah.
We won't spoil anything for anybody.
It's so good. Except for that one line. You know the line, Brandon.
Oh, God. Fuck that line. Fuck that line.
So, like, the last hour of the game is just cutscenes. And I'm in it, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm having a great time. And then she says this one line, and I physically just cringed. And was like,
my whole body just stopped.
It's like, But then
it says that.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It almost ruined the ending for me, honestly.
Yeah, it was tough. That line, I was like, no,
I remember because
no.
me and you were playing it for the first time, and I was replaying it kind of at the same time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I beat it before you did because I have no life and can do whatever I want. And
Hell yeah.
I hit that line, and you were about to go into the ending of it, and I was like, all right, dude, there's one line that's really
Yeah.
bad. And you were like, what is it? And I was like, no, you'll know.
You'll
When
know.
you hear it, you'll know. And then like the next day, I think you sent me a text with just the
Yeah.
line in it, and I was like,
Hell yeah,
I was like,
perfect.
yeah. I was like, you got it.
You got it. I was like, oh, fuck me. Yeah, that one line was tough.
it was a rough one, but I mean, it's still a great game that I would highly recommend.
Oh yeah.
Dude, when is Elder Scrolls 6 supposed to come out?
Oh, it's probably gonna be like 2025. It's gonna be
ETA
years
Infinite.
away, dude. Well, I think they were saying they haven't even like hired people to start working on it. I think is what they said.
But
Oh,
but
fuck.
come on, Microsoft, save Bethesda.
Yeah, I know.
Come on,
Well,
please.
I mean that they knew it was going to be a long ways out. That teaser was more of a hey, we are going to do this at sometime in the future. It was just more of a to let everyone know that yeah, we haven't stopped making these games, which everyone knew they were going to make another one. So
Oh yeah. God, I hate what they did with Fallout though. I haven't played 76 to be fair, but I don't want to because
yeah.
I don't want it to ruin like my mindset on Bethesda because I
Which-
really hold Bethesda highly and
Right.
that just
Which
it
I
breaks
was
my heart.
very upset about because I've always wanted a multiplayer Fallout game. I was like,
Yeah.
man, multiplayer
Same.
Fallout would be so much
Same.
fun. And then I just
Not in
heard
that
terrible
way,
reviews
right?
of it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't want it in that way. I wanted it to where it was still story driven, but you could do like co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, co-op would be sick.
Right. Like they took the wrong parts of it and made it
Yeah.
multiplayer.
Yeah.
They made it like a battle royale, and I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Fallout combat has never been known to be like fluid and
Yeah, to be
like
competitive.
tight.
Good
You
enough
know,
for that.
yeah. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been recording for just under 2 hours. So closing remarks. Anybody? You got anything you need to wrap up before we post this to the internet?
no, I'm sure we'll get better with time. That's probably about the
yeah.
only thing I'd say. I just
Yeah.
this is only episode 2.
Yeah.
So
Honestly.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
Hopefully the
I
audio is
mean-
better this time. I swear every time I record a sample and then I listen to it and I go, oh well now this sounds too loud, and then I turn it down. I'm like, well now it still sounds too loud, and then I'll turn it down. And I'm like, well now this other one's way too loud.
comes with the territory.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
anyways,
it'll be all right.
yeah, well hopefully we'll keep up with it. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to actually do a whole lot. Of
Gotta
effort,
hit
so-
record,
Yeah,
and
gotta
we
hit
just
record.
BS for a couple hours.
And watch me
Really
get
nice. I actually
nothing
enjoyed it a
accomplished
lot.
in No Man's Sky. I actually built a house this time, so
Oh,
Damn,
nice.
look
dude,
at me
making
go.
progress.
I know, and then I haven't done anything since. All right, well, I guess we will see you guys next week with more Completely Pointless, where we bring hours of
know it.
CP to you.
I
Hell yeah,
hate
dude.
you so much.
I had to get it in there. All right, bye guys.
I knew you did.
Later.